let's hear it, Travis. Is there anything that stands out to you on this graphic, like someone that's way too high, way too low, in your opinion?
I guess I don't know. My gut tells me Tampa's maybe had their time. I feel like they may slip this year. I don't. I mean, I know they got rid of McDonough. All of my hockey knowledge is a little limited right now. I have a 7 month old. Can't say I've been in the weeds in the hockey space really in a while, but I see Tampa slipping. I don't think they're going to be what they've been.
Fair. Josh, how about you?
The question was what? Sorry.
What looks off here? What doesn't make sense to you?
On this?
Yeah. Or is this exactly how you ranked them?
I don't think Boston is going to finish in that 4 slot. I think they're going to have a tough year with the not having Marchand early on and McAvoy just right out of the gate. It's going to be a tough little start for them. And I think at Ottawa, Detroit, and Buffalo are going to be really on the come up, and they're going to challenge early on. And I think it's going to be a tough hole for Boston to climb out of. And it's not a product of their team, like their team overall. I think they got a great team. I think they're just going to have a tough start.
No, Josh, you said it there, and that's the biggest point that I take away out from this. And Hoppy and I have talked about this on the podcast before. I think the Atlantic Division, low key, is might be the most competitive division out there as far as it being hard to call how it's going to play out the start of the playoffs. I mean, Toronto, Tampa, sure, they're definitely that step above everybody else in this division going into the season. Florida, not quite what they were last year. Boston, you said it, not quite what they were last year. But the real question is, how much better are Buffalo, Detroit, and the Senators, going to get this season? And, how far are they going to jump in the standings? So this one for me, I mean, I hate the Toronto Maple Leafs. I even, put them number 1. But, yeah, that's low key for me. What stood out for me for this division. And in our poll question in the YouTube chat, by the way, folks, we are asking all of you what division you think is the deepest / best, and you can make an argument, for either if you want.
And Z, aside from Boston, because we're going to get into it here, we're going to pull up everyone's individual ranks. But anything else that stands out to you as being off on here?
I mean, I don't see the Leafs in 1. As you'll see in a second, I don't really know what to make of the top 4. I do think there are way too many people assuming Boston's just going to fall off. Like, they're going to be without those guys to start, but the opening of their schedule is pretty easy. So this is, and Isha, you just said they're not what they were last year. They're better than they were last year, bringing in Zacha, bringing back Krejci instead of Erik Haula. And you talk about they had the best team defense in the league last year, and you're bringing back Bergeron. Hampus Lindholm's going to be here for an entire year. And I do think that Jim Montgomery is going to make a big difference. So you'll see in a second, if they can survive these injuries, I actually have them first. I kind of just went with the full homer because I didn't really know what to make of that top 4, but I don't see a world where Ottawa or Detroit, as better as they got, I don't see a world where they somehow leap any of those top 4 teams. And I think that top 4 could finish in any order, to be honest, except for I don't really think the Leafs can possibly. You look at their goaltending's a problem. Like, that's a lot of issues. And you saw what happened last year when Campbell just decided to not really play hockey anymore. Like, I just don't see a world where they somehow end up winning this division. So I think a lot of people sleep on Boston. I think they are significantly better than they were last year, and they just have to kind of ride out those injuries to start the year. But, again, this is a team that just had the best team defense in the league last year, and they don't allow shit in their goaltending unless they fall off a cliff. I think we'll be fine. So I wouldn't be sleeping on the Boston Bruins, and I don't really know if any of the other 3 teams got significantly better either. So we'll see what happens, but I think it's just a case where you got the top 4 teams that are just in a different stratosphere than those bottom 4 teams.
Fair enough. Isha, feel free to hit some of the comments here.
Yeah, and actually we'll start right with Tegrity Farms. He's given us straight up, his prediction as well. Toronto, Tampa, Florida, Ottawa, Boston, Detroit, Buffalo, Montreal. Let us know if you're viewing as well what your rundown is on this division. McAvoy is elite, says Ahmed Wild Fan 57. What's up, Matthew? What else do we got here? Hunter saying Bud Light is for girls. Girls can like Bud Light. Z
not
can like Bud
necessary.
Light.
As
Hui
long as
from
it's not Miller Lite, we're good.
Lupulin Brewing. Yes, shout out Lupulin Brewing. And Vince is laughing that we're dismissing him wanting to talk about the Blackhawks.
There's plenty to talk about there. It's just not good.
The Leafs are probably not winning the division. Ooh, because of the goaltending? You're on that train as well? Let us know. Keep the comments coming, folks. We'll continue to bring them up on the screen and adjust them all as this podcast and live stream continues. All right, now you see here, and if you're listening to the podcast, go check out the live stream here. You can watch it in total on you or full on YouTube, or we will break it down division by division. So as you can see here on the screen, the Atlantic Division, all of our picks, how we predicted it would break down. Let's start with...
We already kind of hit the Boston Bruins,
Yeah.
which is where we were going to start. I mean, Z, Letty, anything else we want to hit on here? Because you two are obviously the biggest discrepancy there. Z, did you pretty much hit your notes?
Boston's been doing their thing for a while, and it's tough to sustain. And when you got a couple of their top players that are going to start hurt like that, I mean, I just don't. It's not going to be able to sustain. It's going to be a tough year for them. They're going to bounce back next year. It'll be all right. They got a goaltender tandem, and that's it's healthy. It's nice to have two guys that are very competent, but I don't know. It's gonna be tough to get into a rhythm when you got some injuries starting on the season.
My one that I want to highlight is Z's the only one who picked Buffalo to finish at the bottom of the division. Z, why do you think that is? Do you just think they just haven't improved the roster enough yet, and that some of the younger players aren't going to click, or like what's your reasoning? Because most of us think Montreal and or the Senators.
You mean Buffalo?
Sorry, Buffalo. Yeah.
I mean, I think Ottawa is significantly better. They're going to score a lot of goals. We'll see what happens with Cam Talbot, but that defense is still a pretty big problem. But I do think that they're going to be good enough and score enough goals to surpass teams like Detroit, who I think their defense is still going to be a bit of a tire fire. I mean, like their big addition was Ben Sherratt, who stinks. So I don't really see Detroit. I think Ottawa and Detroit are two they're going to be, significantly better than they were last year. But and I just look at Buffalo; they just didn't do anything. Like they got better last year, obviously with after that Eichel saga ended. But you look at Montreal; they add a couple guys like Kirby Dach. We'll see what happens with them, and we'll see what happens with their defense specifically. But I just don't really see where Buffalo got better at all in the offseason. So to me, I just look at it and I don't really see how they kind of overtake anybody. And they make that run for Bedard.
For me, they got better in season last year. Like the way you saw them finish the year, I think they're going to be able to carry that. Do I think they're going to contend for a playoff spot? No. Do I think they're better than Montreal? Personally, yes. But to your point, Z, I think the most interesting matchup here is Detroit and Ottawa. Like we had them across the board with all of our averages. Like they were both tied at 5. And I personally, I think both teams don't have a great blue line, but I'd still probably lean Detroit's over theirs. And I like what they did to upgrade their goaltending position. They brought in a couple of veterans at forward, and I'm also a lot more afraid of Steve Yzerman than anyone in the Ottawa organization. And I think that team's going to come out bucking. I don't know. I
just don't see Ben Sherratt or Oli Mata doing anything for you.
Oli Mata's a dumpster fire. He sucks.
So I don't know. Like, does Edvinsson make the team, and can he step in right away? I have my doubts there too. I just don't see that Detroit defense being any better than they were last year.
No, but the goaltending can certainly make the defense look a lot better. Yeah,
their goaltending's still up in the air though. Like I don't look at either one of those guys and say, yeah, those are guys I'm comfortable with pushing for. Like they're not going to really challenge for a playoff spot, but they obviously want to be in games. I mean, there was a game last year they fucking scored like 7 goals and still lost. So,
so Z, would you rather have those two goalies, or would you rather have Talbot in his backup?
I mean, I think Talbot's more of a starter than those two. Like I would look at those two versus Talbot and bet on Talbot more than I bet on them. Like I've seen it from Talbot before. I haven't really seen consistently anything from those two in Detroit, so I don't know. But who knows? I think they're going to be pretty close, but I think Ottawa's just going to do enough. I think they're going to score enough goals to be better than Detroit. And again, I just don't really know what Ben Sherrod or Ole Matter, like I just don't see them making a very big positive difference for the Detroit Red Wings.
I don't think they're going to make a negative difference though. And you know, they were a young team. They learned a lot last year, and they almost crept in. So adding those guys, they're somewhat stable. Mata's had some experience, you know, deep in the playoffs with the Penguins,
Mata terrifies me.
You know, whatever. He's not expected to do a lot. They didn't sign that guy to be a top like 2 defenseman. He's going to be their 4th defenseman, which is almost like a hybrid 5.
At least they don't have Mark Stahl as their like second pairing defenseman. That's a good thing. So you already kind of commented on it, Travis. You said that you don't see the Lightning maintaining what they've done. They're going to fall off a little bit. Isha, you've got them as your number 1 in the division. Like, what's your counter argument to Travis?
I just like what I think is some of the players that obviously have left the team. I don't think it's going to make as much of a difference that's going to shoot them down the rankings of this division that much. Like, again, maybe Toronto surpasses them, sure. But I don't know. I just really don't think that it's going to make that much of an impact with how much confidence the team still has, the players who are still there. I don't think that their older players have shown any of a dip last season, the year before, clearly when they're winning enough to really show that much of a concern. So for me, I still have them at the top, barring, you know, something crazy happens this season. They deal with a ton of injury.
Fair enough. And Travis, you're one of the higher ones on the Florida Panthers. I know you said obviously newborn kid, so we'll give you the, you know, the benefit of the doubt if you want to plead ignorance. But
I'm sitting here listening to the trade moves, and I'm like, I wonder which trade move they're talking about. I've seen some of them, but probably only about half of what's relevant. That's why I'm sitting here looking at Ottawa, being like, I missed something, obviously. But yeah, I don't know. I just think I think Florida showed they have another gear, and I don't really think they got any better or worse necessarily from what I've seen. They need to figure it out, obviously, down the stretch and stay healthy and things like that, but I still think they have the firepower and the skill to be way up there.
Well, that's an important trade to probably catch you up on then. Do you know about the Tkachuk trade?
Yeah, I know I know Tkachuk got traded there.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like that team, after losing Mackenzie Weegar, they have no blue line. Like I mentioned before, like Mark Stahl is probably on their second pairing, and he is not a good defenseman. They have one really good player in Ekblad, and there's nothing else on that blue line. They're going to score a ton of goals. I'm probably taking the over in every Florida Panthers game, but I'm kind of scared with what their blue line lacks, and I think in a couple of years they're better for having Matthew Tkachuk than having, a guy like Huberdeau. But I think in the immediate future, I think that's a downgrade.
I don't think Forsling's that bad.
Forsling's really good. He's sneaky, really good.
Looking at
Forsling's real good.
Does anybody have a maybe outside of Boston, like whose blue line is great?
Well, I mean,
Boston's is probably the best.
having
Boston's
Hedman and Sergachev leading that Tampa Bay core is pretty solid.
Yeah,
these guys are
they
beasts.
lost McDonough, right?
Yeah, it's tough, right? But I mean,
yeah, I mean, no, those two are still great, obviously. McDonough will hurt,
But can Cal Foote step up and be a real NHL defenseman?
Mr. Foot.
Mr. Foot. We shall see. All right, let's go back to the comments here, folks, as we are seeing a ton of interaction in the live chat here. It's amazing. Who do we got? Integrity Farm again. Shout out to you. Shout out to Emin Wildfans 57. Shout out to Hunter. Shout out to Vince. We got Angus McWhorter as well in the chat saying, hey, Aisha and everybody else. Shout out to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining. Also, Florida might regress from losing Weegar and Huberdeau. Yeah, we talked about that for sure. Goaltending and defense are going to be the downfall for the Leafs. Pretty sure Muzzin and others are injured on defense.
I do think there's a world where the goaltending works out just fine in Toronto. Like, all jokes aside, with me loving Matt Murray, like him and Samsonov, like it's not unrealistic that one of them could pop and be just fine.
Eli's a gamer. That dude's a gamer.
Well, and Murray went through so much. Like, people forget, like, he was great in Pittsburgh. A lot of Pittsburgh fans like to dog him because he replaced Fleury, and they all got butthurt about that. Then his dad dies right before he goes to Ottawa. That doesn't go well because, like, obviously everyone gets hurt when they lose their dad, but, like, that was, like, his best friend. He was so mentally fragile from that, which obviously isn't great for a goalie. He's going to an organization where he's comfortable. It's his old GM, old coach from playing in the OHL. Like, there's a real chance playing behind a solid team that Matt Murray regains form. Like, no, is he going to look like he did when he won the Stanley Cups in Pittsburgh? Probably not. But can he be a competent enough goalie to get them over the hump to at least win one round? I don't know. It's tough. It's tough in that jersey, but I don't think it's something that can't be achieved.
I mean, they got Giordano for $800,000 on their roster. That's a cheap, high-quality player right there. You know, Muzzin, solid. I've always liked TJ Brody. If that dude can just stay healthy for a full year.
That dude can skate. You said it.
Yeah,
he can stay
absolutely.
healthy. That dude can fucking
skate. And they're on
this.
They thrived when Brody was like a rookie and an up-and-comer in Calgary. That Brody and Giordano as a pair. They're not going to be on a pair, but they're going to be influencing the rest of that defensive core. And Morgan Riley's a fucking solid player, man.
He's sick. And you can't forget, they've got a guaranteed deadline pickup come this year in Matty Nyes, who's going to slot right in. And no, will he be great immediately? Probably not, but he makes a difference in that middle six. I don't know. I see a lot.
He threw Hoppy the other day. Z shared that clip, I think.
That was last night. He killed somebody.
Yeah, that was insane.
I mean, it was a guy that played in the NA3, but
I mean, it was a massive. That kid's a fucking nail gun.
Yeah, he's fun.
All right, any final thoughts on the Atlantic Division, anybody?
I would just say at any top four finish I could see. Like, it wouldn't, like, any of those top four teams. I guess some people think Ottawa and Detroit are going to be in the top four, but
they will.
Toronto, Boston, Tampa, or Florida, I could see coming out on top. Like, it's the same shit every year, though, that the top is just so stacked. But, we'll see. I think Ottawa's going to need Jake Sanderson first to be healthy and then just step in right away and be a beast if they're going to make some noise in terms of actually making the playoffs. But it's another weird year with that division, but it's always fun just because the teams are so fucking good.
It's going to be a fun division, like we said right off the top. To
second best division in the NHL.
Oh, second.
I think it's the best, and I think it's crazy too that you're right, Z. I think the top four stay somewhere in the top four, but the bottom four all improved, and that's what makes this an absolute gong show, and I'm here for it.
And that's a perfect segue to remind everybody watching to vote in our poll question live in the YouTube chat here. What is the deepest/best NHL division going into the 2022-2023 season? We'll go over at the end of the stream what the final results were. So if you're viewing on Twitter, please migrate over to YouTube, like the video, join our live chat, and vote in the poll question. All right, on the other side, we are going to preview the Pacific Division live here on the City Life Project YouTube channel. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
We're on the Sota Pod YouTube channel.
Oh, man, did I...
Looks like you guys are ready for the next level. Smaller targets.